Welcome to Women Engage. We are so glad that you could join us on our program today. If you wish to engage with us and with our topics and with one another on the topics that we are discussing on our program, you can always find us on our Facebook page. Just look for Women Engage. Today we have a very practical topic for our discussion. We're talking about women and our finances. So at this time I want to take this opportunity to have each of us introduce ourselves to our audience. I'm going to ask you to tell us your name, where you're from, and what your personal financial challenge is. Okay, so my name is Jocelyn Isabidie. I am from Uganda. My personal financial challenge is investing. I don't know how to invest. I don't know what to invest. I don't even know where to begin. So I think that would be a very big challenge for me.
My name is Debbie Maloba. I'm from Democratic Republic of Congo. My challenge in finance is to keep too much. I don't spend too much. I think this is also a challenge.
My name is Josephine Gano. I come from Ghana, and my challenge is just like Debbie's. I don't like spending. I want to keep as much money in my account.
My name is Editor Hadassah Tripp. I am from Kenya, and my challenge would be sticking to my budget. Mostly when I get a deal on something, maybe a piece of land, an investment, I kind of go out of my planned budget.
Okay, so each of us has something that we struggle with. And, we have the stereotypical things where they say, women overspend, but, that's not my personal challenge. I could see also in my sisters here, that's not their personal challenge. And as Edita was sharing her challenge, the things that she's spending on is not the stereotypical clothes, those kind of things when she says, if I see something like land, and I'm thinking, well, that's an investment. So I think we're very sensible here. I like to think that. But it's true that we do face a lot of challenges, particularly in our families when it comes to finances. So let's just talk a little bit more maybe about some of these challenges. Maybe we'll start with a challenge that both Debbie and Josephine share. Your challenge, you said, is one where you think you don't spend enough. Why is that a problem?
Because, sometimes in your quest not to spend, you lose certain things. And so it becomes a challenge. For instance, let's say when I go to the supermarket and I see brands of, let's say, milk, there are different brands. Yes. I would take my time and then choose the one with the least price. Because for me, I think milk is milk. But sometimes, it is not really as simple as milk is milk. Mm-hmm. They all have their own, things. Yeah. And so sometimes you want to really keep as much money as you want, but then you end up buying something which is of low quality, for instance. Yeah. And then you end up spending even more. Yeah. Because you wanted to save, you rather spend money on things that you could have bought a quality thing and then maybe rather save. So that is why it is a challenge. So I have that problem of looking at things generally and saying that why should I spend so much money to buy something because it is a brand? Yeah. No, I would not do that. Yeah. I just go for the basic thing which serves my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, my challenge is related to my philosophy. I always say money is not enough. Mm-hmm. You will never say, I have enough money. Mm-hmm. So you need to be careful because a time will come when you will really need to use your savings, but you will not have enough because you have spent your money in something that was, yes, important, but not that important. So you need to be careful.
I think also, when you're talking about a philosophy, as I was linking that to what Josephine had said, because it sounds good to plan and to not want to spend too much. And I'm sure that some men are thinking, oh, I wish my wife had that kind of a problem. But when you talked about philosophy, I thought about, from my own experience, where I think I had to change the way that I thought about money, because I'm very frugal. I don't shop according to brands. I'll buy the cheapest. And I like shopping in the supermarket where they even tell you the cost per gram. Because that's when that's why I even told my kids, you don't just look at the unit price. You look at the cost per gram, because then that's when you know how much you're actually spending. So I'm, very careful until I realized that, on the one hand, yes, I'm saving and all that, but there are certain things that would just make life easier, that would make me more comfortable, my family more comfortable, and I'm being so stingy, And then I asked myself, life is for living. If I'm going to be so stingy to the point where, you can't enjoy everything because you want to save every penny for a rainy day that, whenever it comes, then it's good to be careful, it's good to be prudent. But I think when it comes to finances, there are extremes. There are extremes. There are those who are they just spend without thinking, without planning, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. But then there are also extremes on the other hand, where you have the money to give yourself a treat, do something nice for your family, spend something that's nice, that is a higher, better quality, but you're again so stingy. One of the things that might be a challenge is how many of us actually sit with our spouses and do financial planning, like a plan for a weekly budget, monthly budget, a long-term plan, next 5 years, 10 years.
I actually wanted to comment on the planning bit. I think this I had to learn from experience, because nowadays I actually sit down with my spouse and we plan for the month, we budget for the month. And remember, I also indicated that one of my weaknesses is not sticking to my budget. So as much as we plan, but if I see something that is a deal, I forget about the plans. But the planning bit is very important, like you're saying, because again, it helps in saving costs. You end up, like my sisters are saying, that you avoid impulse buying, just buying because it's a brand and all. But planning, I'll vouch for it any day. It's very important to do it as a family. It has helped us, because initially I'd say I need to run maybe this arm of the house. Maybe I'm handling the kitchen. My husband will handle the car and all. But coming together and planning and knowing that this is what we're putting together in a kitty and spending from it as a family, I've learned that it helps.
Yeah, I will add to what Editor has said. Many of us as women, we think that is for those who are running businesses, they have to plan. This is my family, but we do have challenges. And the way I see it, especially when one of the spouses is not working, that is a challenge. Where the one who is working and contributing will feel like, you see, I bring things here, I bring money, funds, but now the way, let's say, the wife is not working, the way my wife is using it, I'm not happy. And that is the beginning of the conflict. When both of you are not working, one of you is working, you feel like we don't need to plan. And this is the moment you need to plan. Because you don't want to offend the one who is bringing money, who is leading in terms of finance. And most of divorces come from there because you do not plan. I think it is very important as a family to sit down. And also for the spouse who is not working, to look ways, even to contribute with little, that will value. So that everybody, when you sit now to plan, everybody will feel like, yes, we are planning on what we have contributed.
What you've said there, Debbie, has made me think about a particular challenge that we have as women. Yes, there are times when one of you is not working. But I think it's especially a challenge for us in our marriages when it's the husband who's not working. Yes. Because for many of our cultural setups, it's okay for a woman not to work outside of the home because her job is in the home, you know. As long as she's taking care of her husband, she's taking care of her children, there's no stigma attached to that. In fact, you know, many men are proud of the fact that their wives do not work, that they can provide. And there are women who have made the sacrifice, professional women who are qualified, who have made the sacrifice to leave employment for the sake of their families, and especially those who are bringing up young children. And there's a lot of value in that. But it also creates a lot of challenges when it's the other way around, when it's for one reason or another, the wife is working and the husband is not. Do we have any experience about that kind of challenge? Because there might be someone in our audience who has that kind of challenge where the husband is the one that's not working, or if he's working, he's not earning as much. The wife is the one that's bringing in the big money. How do you deal with a challenge like that?
Yeah, I think this is a very crucial point because it happens either way. But just like you said, we feel very uncomfortable if it is the man. I have not experienced it personally, but I have the privilege to counsel people. I mean, some people have been having that problems. And what I have always told them is that it depends on how you see your money. Is it your money or our money? Because that makes a whole lot of difference. Yes. So we have to accept the fact that when we are married, we are one. Our resources are together. And so it doesn't really make a difference if I am working and my spouse is not working, or vice versa. If we are able to get that concept, it makes it easier. Because, you know, it's our money. And so planning becomes easier. It is our money. It's not like my money, his money. It is our money. And so then we have to plan with whatever we have. We know we are living on a single income and plan accordingly. And planning is very, very good because, you see, when you don't plan, you never know where your money goes. You may think sometimes, you wonder, I had this money, but how come the money is finished? It's because you are not keeping record of where your money is going. You are just buying things out of impulse. Yeah. So my point is that if we can only accept the fact that when we are married, we are one in everything. Yes. If we can share our bodies, then why not our money?
Yes. And I'd actually comment from experience. There is once in our marriage, I think year 10, when my husband had to leave employment, to quit employment. So I was the one employed. And there was no money coming in from that end. And we just had to sit down, like my sister Jasmine is saying, that we had to sit down and budget with what we had. I mean, we had to tone down on expenses. You literally have to tone down on everything. And I didn't see anything wrong with that, because if it's a family setup, it's not about my money, his money. And it's weird that society will say, you just can't let a man sit in the house, you know, and you provide. But I believe when we come together in marriage, it's important to recognize that there's nothing like my money, his money. It's the family money. Yeah.
I think that the challenge comes, you know, when Debbie was talking about one of the largest precursors to divorce has to do with finances. I think the challenge comes as money is not just money. Yes. Money affects us emotionally. It affects us spiritually. It has so many different ways that it impacts us. So that even when you say, you know, it's fine, it's our money, there are so many other things that are not really about the money per se, but where it impacts other things. Like now, for example, where it might be a challenge for a man when you're saying society says. So you as a wife might be okay with your husband staying at home. You understand he's had to leave work, and it happens, you know, the job sometimes goes, or, you know, I've experienced that. My husband is a student. I'm the one working full time. And that also happens. And so when society says, why is the man staying at home? It's not really about the money, because you have already scaled down, you've budgeted. It's all these other things that money has to do with. And then it's, okay, so the man is staying home, but is he going to cook? So when you come home, is there dinner waiting for you because he's been home the whole day? Because it might not even be, you might be okay with the money, but you come home from work, you've driven, I don't know where you work, but imagine you've driven through 2 hours of traffic and you've come home, and your husband is still waiting for you to come and put the food on the table so that he can eat his meal, because you're the wife and that's your responsibility. And then after you finish cooking the food, you wash the dishes, and So it becomes such a complex thing. It's not just about the money. It's about all these other things. It's our relationship with the money and how it impacts our relationship with each other. And so I think those are the things that make it so complex. So if you're sharing and everything is 50-50 and you're saying the money is ours, so sometimes it's, so where is the man's place as the head of the home? You're saying it's our money, like you're saying, but he's feeling, where am I the man here? Where everything has to be consulted. So where do I show my manhood? If everything, so it's such a complex thing, and I think that's why it brings problems in relationships, because it's more than about the shillings. It's about so many
it
other
affects
things.
But I still believe that in spite of our culture and the big world, around us, the two of us should have some understanding. Yes. It boils down to understanding. I am not expecting to go out there and work and then you cross your legs and wait for me to come and cook and also wash the dishes. I am thinking that there should be some, understanding between the two, which should work. Because at the same time, we don't want to cause any stress. I think it is the stress that brings the conflicts and misunderstanding. And the other issues. But it's a difficult situation, which only the two of them, the two people can solve.
Yes.
It's only the two people who can come up with, some formula.
That works for them.
That works for them.
Yes, because sometimes you might even be okay, your husband might be okay washing the dishes, but when your mother-in-law is around, she's like, woo, what have they done to my son? Oh, no, because she's the one working now. She's crying as if someone has died. I have friends that has happened. The mother-in-law was visiting, and, all of a sudden it becomes this huge thing. The woman is crying and she's running, Mom, what's the problem? Oh, my son. So it's very complicated.
I also think communication is very important. I like the way Jocelyn has said that it is a complex thing. Sometimes I may react on something because I do not understand how my husband was raised. So I need to understand him. I need to communicate. Honey, do you think that the way we are spending our money is a good way? Because sometimes we react because when I approach my husband because he has spent money on something, behind me, I still remember how we have to pay our debts. Yeah. You see? Now, as reaction, instead of telling him, be careful, because we have a commitment somewhere, but I react negatively. I think when you communicate, you ask him, he explains, you will find a way forward. And that will help you and bring harmony.
Yeah. I think that's very important, communication.
Yes.
The way you communicate, but also the way he communicates
as well.
Because it has to be two ways.
Yes.
Yeah. There is this Proverbs chapter 31 woman. I remember before I got married, reading about this woman, I'm thinking, this woman is just too perfect. How am I going to, I don't like this woman. Because they're always preaching this woman at us, you have to do like this. And I'm thinking, what kind of a woman is this? Like, for example, in verse 13 to 14, it says, she finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She's like a merchant ship, bringing her food from afar. Now, I don't know how many of you know how to make clothes out of wool. I have to put my hand up. But what can we learn from that? The fact that she does that? Is there anything we can learn from that?
I think the point is that she's very resourceful. That is the point. So we may not be able to sew or to do what she does exactly, but there's something we can do as well. So the point is that as a woman, we shouldn't always pay for service. We should be able to do something ourselves. We should know how to cook, for instance, know how to wash, for instance. If we can bake, I think it is a plus for us. And if we can sew, it's a plus for us. So the point is that we should explore opportunities to be more resourceful, because whenever we have to depend on, somebody else, it drains the budgets. Whenever you have to, employ somebody to maybe cook for you, or do your hair, or wash your clothes, or buy bread and all those things, it drains the budget. And remember, the budget is, we are managing the budget. And so we need to, as much as possible, try and find ways and means to somehow provide some of these things ourselves. And that is what Proverbs 31 woman is all about.
Yes, because you find someone where, the woman is at home, she's not employed, but she still needs a maid. Because she needs someone to help her look after her child, she needs someone to help her to cook, she needs someone to help her to clean, but maybe she could learn how to do some of those things herself. Of course, we know that being resourceful doesn't mean that you will necessarily sew and cook and do everything yourself. It might mean you go out and work and someone else helps to make your clothes. But if you're at home, why should you, like you're saying, that's a drain on the budget, and yet maybe you could be resourceful and do those things for yourself. I like what it says, because this is one of my weaknesses. I said in verse 16, it says, she goes to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. I think the only kind of investment that I can say I can do is buying land, because that seems to be straightforward. But I think one of the things is that there's a lot of information out there about how to save, how to invest, where to save, the best places to save. If you need a loan, what's the best place to get a loan? But we're so uninformed about so much. So apart from buying land or property, which for me is like the straightforward thing, I hear about investments and I just get scared, because I think, how do you do that? Where do you invest? And things like that. So I think being resourceful can also be educating yourself. Educating yourself, finding out from people who have the resources about how you can be able to deal with some of these things.
Yeah, Jocelyn, let me chip in here. Talking about investment, like you said, most of us do not know, where to go. We want to invest. And most of us have banks, isn't it? Yeah. But what we do is they just save there. One simple thing you can do is that just walk to your bank and then ask them, what, investment opportunities do you have? Yeah. And you'll be amazed. They will tell you. Yeah. That is, if you don't want to go out there and look for investment, just go to your bank. Yeah. And there's a lot, advice they can give you, which you can, invest.
And I also think we can get influence from church and each other just within our circles. At times, as women, we are scared of asking someone who's probably made it, like, how did you get there? What did you do differently? And yet I feel these are available opportunities to probably learn from others and think about those things and maybe consider investing in such areas. And I also wanted to comment on the Proverbs 31 woman. I think she's just amazing. It says she wakes up in the morning to till her land. I used to wonder, she does so much. She'll till the land, go back, clean the house, take care of the children, But I realized it's actually possible to do so many things, but with help and takes us back to planning yourself and planning your day. And so all this is achievable, and it takes a lot of learning. Like, what do I call it? It's like a reset button, because if I speak for myself, if I think of doing all that, like I feel like I'll be exhausted by 10. At times it's in the mind. So it takes a reset button, and there's so much we can achieve. Yeah.
Ladies, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time. But as we close, I wonder if there's some scripture that we can share with our audience that can help us with our financial planning.
Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure pressed down and shaken together and running over shall men give unto your bosom. For with the same measure that you met with, it shall be measured to you again. When I think on how I try to save without thinking that I will be blessed when I give, this one motivates me. I need to give.
I love what is recorded in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. It says, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he have said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. This is very powerful. Most of the times, the challenges we face with finances is because we want to live up to the standard of others. We always convert. We want to keep up the pace, and therefore we put some strains on ourselves. And the Bible is telling us that there's no need for us to convert. We all have our own means, and we should live within our means. Let us be content.
My favorite verse on this aspect would be from Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20, and I'll read it. There is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spends it up. I wish I could replace the word man with woman, because I know the times we are tempted to spend it all. I mean, just go impulse. But it says that for the sign of wisdom would be saving. It's very important to save. It is something I cannot run away from. We cannot run away from. So this is a personal challenge.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing those powerful scriptures. Thank you, audience, once again for joining us. We hope that you've been blessed by our discussion today. Please remember that you can engage with our topic, engage with one another by looking for us on Facebook and continuing the conversation. God bless you. God will